Guys, what I want to go over today is really simple. The state of Diablo 4. What I'm going to do in the background while we're doing this is I'm just going to run a pit. I'm on tier 2, as you can see. So I still have a long ways to go. And I want to go over some of the pros and the cons of the season. And, you guys let me know what you think. But I think the big thing here is, you know, I've watched Rax's video. I've watched Mod stream. I've watched Quinn stream. I've watched Woody stream. I've watched a lot of these guys stream, and kind of the main consensus from these guys. And again, these guys have blasted way, 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 way more than me, right? Like, just a lot of characters, a lot of actual time, major Paragon levels. And I think the big thing that I've kind of come to terms with is I'm going to give a little bit of a different take. So, from somebody who doesn't have a ton of time to play, what are my thoughts on the season, right? Well, to me, I think the biggest problem with the season is everything's packed into basically two things that are really good. And the problem is they tried to make the other things quote unquote good by making them necessary, but it's the only reason to be there, and therefore it just feels bad to do them. And the two main things I'm talking about are Hell Tides and Nightmare Dungeons. Okay, and this is as a casual player, right? I mean semi-casual, I would say, right? Like I complete every season, I do all the content, I get, I think last season my Paragon was like 260, so like I'm not a scrub. I leveled every single class, except for Druid last season. But basically, I might even have leveled Druid, I don't remember. But basically, the problem with Nightmare Dungeons, let's start there, is they give you these, what are they called? These flasks, okay, that basically give you a chance to spawn altars. And inside of the altars are where you have to go to get, like, pretty much the best witch powers, right? So the problem with that is it's the only reason to go in there. There's really no other, like, yeah, you can get some masterworking mats by doing them, but it's not pit, right? So typically people compare Nightmare Dungeons with the pit. So if you're new to the game, those are kind of the two main kind of like dungeon style Endgame activities, right? And so what happens is in the pit, which is what I'm doing now, you gain way more Paragon levels, way faster, which ultimately boosts your power substantially. You also can level your glyphs there. And it used to be that you leveled your glyphs in Nightmare Dungeons, and then they put that exclusively in the pits, right? Which would be my solution to this, right? Is allow you, like, I don't care if you put stuff in different content that's specific for that content, like, hey, this flask only works in Nightmare Dungeons, and Nightmare Dungeons give you this really cool thing. But also, you can level your glyphs, right? So even if you're not getting the XP, you can still level your glyphs, right? And I think that would at least make it like, oh, okay, well, I can get certain levels of glyphs, and they mandate it, right? So like you can get like 4 levels or something, right? Instead of like how crazy you can scale the pit. So like the pit's still essentially better, but at least it's not the only thing that you get. And so to me, that would be an easy, quick fix that they could implement like as a patch. They won't because it's Blizzard, but they could, to make it feel better. And again, the biggest problem is those altars, they feel almost essential. So like I've been putting it off and putting it off, and like now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, I kind of got to go do that, and I don't wanna, right? And then you have the new Helltide versus the old Helltide, right? Well, the old Helltide has living steel, exquisite blood, and some whispers. The problem is the new Helltide throws out so much more loot. It's so good. Their activities are packed together. You can turn in from the Raven. Like, they made the new Helltide so much better than the old one that it just doesn't feel good. And that's how you level your witch powers, which, if I show you real quick here, now that I'm done with this, watch. So, like, I have 259 points. I need to go get this. The only way, if you read it, right, the only way you can get it is by finding a forgotten altar in one of the many dungeons. So the only way I can find this is to go spam dungeons with one of those flasks on, hoping that an altar forms, and then I get the drop that I need. And technically, I need both of these, right? I need aura and breath. So I actually have to go do these in order to optimize the build I'm trying to put together, which sucks because I don't want to do it. There's no benefit to doing it, and it's really hang on one second. Let me just double check something. That's turf canny. Okay, so I can just start upgrading these then. Okay, so my thought. Hang on one second. Where is? There it is. And I'm working on a lot of different builds, but basically, um, the problem with these witch powers, right, is when you're doing them, they don't feel like they're really cool to do, but the only other way to level them is to do the new Helltide. So, like I said, the old Helltide is good for practically nothing in comparison to the new stuff. And when you do that, but then you make the old stuff kind of essential, right? Like you kind of have to do it. Um, it just really, it really doesn't feel good. And it's, where do I go to get strength? Hang on. I could go there. Oh, okay. So I'll just go up here, go around. Okay. Um, and basically that's what sucks about it, right? Is you have to go do this content. And you're sitting there going, I don't want to do this content, right? And again, my gear is complete trash right now. It's just, I'm gonna save that. It's not good, so like, don't judge my gear. I'm just literally getting started, right? So I have very scuffed gear, and I'm doing T2, like super scuffed. But basically, guys, that's the issue, right? And then once you get all that stuff, the bigger problem is for what, right? So, and this goes into kind of what everybody else is echoing, or what I'm going to echo from everybody else who's been grinding the game is, okay, so once I get my gear, once I get my witch powers, once I get all this stuff, like I'll be easily blasting Torment 4, easily blasting the pits to get my shit to 100, but then like that's it. Like there's nothing else. There's no end game, there's no pinnacle boss, there's no something to chase, there's no like yeah, I can go slam my head against Duriel and one shot him 4,000 times, hoping I get my mythic uniques. But like, what am I going to use it for? Right? So like, there's no way to make the hard content actually hard in comparison to Pit 150. Right? So there's no like thing I can do that buffs the boss. And if I buff the boss to like T4 plus 6, right? He has a chance to drop blah, and you can trade everything, and then blah is worth blah, right? Like there's no like economy, there's no it's just really not fun once you get to that point. Now that being said, the pros of this season, I really like it. Like when I logged in, I hadn't logged in a long time, and so I had forgotten completely about mercenaries until I was like level 40 something. I forgot about my cat until I was like level 20. I forgot about all kinds of stuff, right? And it yeah, like this, like feels bad. And all this stuff doesn't matter either. That being said, I need Restless Rot, so I'm just gonna do Restless Rot, right? But this is kind of the whole point. Is I can go do this, and I love the season journey, and that's what's really cool, right? Is the season journey is really cool. It's this they actually did a really good job on. I think they absolutely did. They just did a great job, right? I still got to do an Infernal Horde. I got to find an altar. I got to collect fugitive heads, which I've never seen one of. Like, Salvage Ancestrals. Defeat Grigor. Right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 done in the next level already, and Grigor's easy, so that's over halfway done with that level. I got a lot of stuff done in this level. See what I'm saying? Like this is like reach Paragon 100. Defeat monsters on Torment 2. You're never going to get through all this stuff like until you're up to tier 5, and by then none of it matters, right? And then obviously you get your Resplendent Spark right here. So I think that's the big thing that I see as the problem is they have two things that are extremely amazing. They're overpowered. Ooh, I get whispers for doing one more. So we'll go do one more. But that's it. There's nothing, right? There's nothing else past that. And so again, I think the leveling process, playing with the new powers, it gives the thing I do like about this season is you can almost blindly go in, create your own build, and it's going to be capable with how strong these characters are of basically completing the game, right? And that you can say that that's not cool, but I think and this would be my only knock on Path of Exile too, right? Is unless you're like, you can't just log into that game and pretend you know what you're doing and like figure it out, right? Like the power difference between what someone who's new can create in 100 hours or 200 hours of gameplay, as opposed to what the top end guides and metas and broken shit, right, is 1,000x difference, right? Like legitimately it's bananas how different it would be. And so to me, I understand they're not built for the same clientele, and I get that Blizzard wants this to just be a casual arcade blaster, and I actually, for that purpose, I like it. I think this season has a lot of really cool stuff, but my question at the end of the day always goes, okay, but for what, right? And for me, it's like, hey, if there was like I'll chase cosmetics, right? Like if there was a cool mount you got that was like, whatever the witch, there's no new bosses, there's no new actual endgame content at all. But if they had like, hey, here's our new boss, and if you clear, pit 150, you can get this relic that 100% drop rate, and you can go hit this boss and he doubles it or quadruples his health pool, his abilities go off 27 more times faster. It was tough, right? And you have to beat it solo, right? Like you can't be in a party to kill it, right? Like anything, I don't know, I'm just spitballing things. But if you do that, then you get to ride Duriel, or you know what I mean, and it's like this really cool mount that like you can go into town and show off, like similar to like MMO, like in WoW back in the day when you I remember when we killed Garrosh, we were a top US 25 guild to kill Garrosh. We got that, I think it was a Scorpion or the bike mount, whatever it was, but like we all went, or the wolf, I don't remember, but we all went into town once we got it, and we showed it off, right? Like we were like, oh dude, look at this fucking dope ass shit that we all just unlocked, because this shows that you're really good at the game. And there's nothing in this game that makes that possible. There's no reason. There's no ultra hard content that you have to go against. And again, I played PoE 2 a lot. I personally absolutely, like, if you told me which game's more for me, I would say 80 out of 100 times I'm picking PoE 2, right? I just enjoy the math. I enjoy the builds. I enjoy the slow progression. Getting through the campaign takes significant time. I was watching Rax said he got to max level in like 2.5 hours on his rogue. And again, I'm playing Spiritborn, which is supposedly not that good of a class, right? And I'm still just completely scuffed gear. I mean, just annihilating in tier 2. And obviously this build will easily transcend pit 100, probably 120. maybe, right? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. As opposed to PoE where it's like, you gotta you gotta dodge shit. That guy just dropped. You got to do all this different stuff, and to me, it just I don't know. I don't know. I don't I don't see it, and it's really sad because I really love the new area. I really love um the pit. Uh, those things feel really good, but the nightmare dungeons, the hell tides, ugh, it's just bad. So, anyway, guys, that's my thoughts right now. I am going to keep playing it. I'll probably stream this game um, for a little while longer. I don't know how long, how many streams I'll be going on this, but just judging by my limited amount of play that I can do, um, I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe I can get another week out of it, another maybe 2 weeks. But by then, I'm going to get really bored. And, I still do want to level a barb. I don't really want to level a rogue anymore because everybody that I'm seeing on rogue is playing spin to win rogue. And that play style is so boring to me. I really hate it. And I love rogue. So, maybe I'll research on YouTube and see if there's any other really cool builds. I like to give the meta a little bit of time. I'm not going to play a Necromancer. The Bloodway build does nothing for me. I've played Blood Surfer a lot in the past. It's one of my favorite builds. And what they have going right now, just not for me. Right. So, that's probably what I'll do. But yeah, guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. And as always, catch you.